You have to start, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. No pressure.
Hey.
What the fuck was that? Sounds like the world's dodgiest ASMR.
Hey, how's it going? It's been a long time.
It's definitely been a minute.
Did you think we forgot about you?
Because we did. For multiple months.
I wouldn't say we forgot. I would say that we got busy.
Here.
Here, there, and everywhere we got busy. So, hi everybody. Welcome back to Get Shifty. I'm C.
And I was going to say my legal name. And I'm Christine.
And we realize it's been a really long time. Our personal lives definitely got very busy, and so did our lives in other realities. We always meant to get back to the podcast, but it's taken us, a full year and a half to get to it. So,
A year and a half?
better late than never.
A year and a half? I thought it's been like 3 months max.
Nah, dude, I saw a stat on one of the videos the other day. I got alerted or something, and it was like this video was posted 500 something days ago, and I was like, oh.
That's definitely more than a year.
I was like, oh, that hurts. I'm so sorry. I just want to say I saw your guys' comments along the way because the podcast account is actually the YouTube account that's on my phone. So I saw y'all's comments, and I really appreciate y'all being here, even in our absence, and all the comments asking where we were. I appreciate them. Sorry I didn't respond. I was like, if I respond to one, I gotta respond to all.
I saw them too, but I've been categorically ignoring them. Every time I get a podcast question, I feel like, whoop, delete. Sorry.
We had to bring it back for at least one more episode, at least an episode finale. So that's where we've been. That's what's up. I do apologize for the absence, but hello again, and we are very happy to be back. So, how about we catch everybody up on what's been going on in our lives for the past year, both shifting and personal.
What is this, the FBI? I'm not telling you about my life. My life here is classified. That's between me and God.
That you don't believe in?
In my Marauders DR, I'm a couple of months out from getting married. Things are better than they've ever been. It's all very happy and joyful. And in my MCU X-Files DR, I've been detained in Moscow, and I am maybe going to be sent to a detention center. Waiting for Tony Stark or Nick Fury to save me. So best of both worlds, I reckon, to be fully honest.
You are living the Hannah Montana dream, the dichotomy of you being like, wow, my Marauders DR for once is very joyful and happy, and then I'm in prison in my other main DR.
I am in the gulag. I'm in the depths of Russian jail. I've been in the airport for 5 hours. I'm being dramatic. But then I got really scared and I shifted back. And now I don't know how long it's going to take me to shift back to that horrible situation that I don't want to be in, that I left. Anyways.
Christine, I think we need to take a few steps back, because last we checked in with our friends on YouTube and Spotify, you were only shifting to your Marauders DR. So I think this MCU X-Files DR in its entire existence may come as a shock to some people.
Yep, I have a new DR. I said I'd never make a new long-term DR. Waiting room's great. Love a good waiting room, but I said I'd never make a new involved DR. But then I don't really know why I decided to do this, because I've never been super into the MCU. But then over Christmas, I kind of watched all the movies in order. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. Why not? And I've loved the X-Files forever. When I was trying to be like, who's my family going to be in this DR? Obviously, Dana Scully is going to be my mother. So then I added X-Files into the MCU, which made everything so much worse. But Dana Scully is my mother, and she has single-handedly healed all of my mommy issues. which is great. But definitely, I don't know, I'm not going to go into the X-Files. People already think I'm, like, elderly as fuck if I start talking about the X-Files. Nobody's going to know what I'm saying. But, yeah, all this stuff from the X-Files has made it worse. The Syndicate. Yeah, bad things. But good things, because I have a mother now. Not to get, depressing. Anyways, I love Eileen. This isn't slander for Eileen. I love Eileen, but it's just a very different dynamic.
It's a different maternal relationship than what you're afforded in the 70s in Wizarding Society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm extremely grateful for that aspect of it. But yeah. Once again, how long have I been shifting? Too long. I still was like, wow, how is this possibly as bad as it is? How could I have not seen that coming after all this time? Anyways.
How could you have lived through the Wizarding War and not seen the problems with MCU X-Files?
Well, see, but I feel like it's not that bad. Because I'm, like, not an Avenger.
But you are.
I have powers and I fought in the Battle of New York. But I'm not an Avenger.
Secretly, you are.
Okay. No. So, secretly-ish, by the way. That's another...
She's not gonna let me have a single thing.
That's another... I'm so bad at keeping my identity hidden. I didn't realize how bad I was. Next time I shift, I'm gonna be in the gulag. My identity's gonna be exposed. Shield might fall soon.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. Fall.
I'm actually rooting for S.H.I.E.L.D. to fall while I'm in the gulag. I'm in the airport. I don't know why I'm being so dramatic about it. Anyways, I'm hoping that S.H.I.E.L.D. falls while I'm in the gulag so I don't have to be involved in it at all. Because because I live in DC in my MCUDR. If S.H.I.E.L.D. falls, if, like, Steve is a few blocks down fighting Hydra, I can't just be like, sorry, I'm not an Avenger, sorry. Good luck, Rogers. Like, I can't just not be involved if I'm in the same city as it's happening, but if I'm in the gulag, maybe the Russians have saved me from a world of pain, who knows?
I'm sorry, I'm just dying at the thought of Steve Rogers calling you, first of all.
Excuse me?
And then calling you while fighting Hydra, and you being like, yeah, nah, I'm good.
I'm busy. I'm in the middle of watching a movie, sorry.
Yeah, I'm on pass on this one, homie.
I don't have my suit anymore, so what would I even do? I'd be like, yeah, I'll just put on some fucking sweatpants and I'll be on the way, my guy. Like, see you soon. I don't have my suit anymore. I gave custody of my suit to Tony, and then it might have blown up when his mansion got blown up. I don't know what happened to the suit. I haven't asked. I don't want to know. So I don't even have my suit, so.
If it blew up or Tony has possession of your suit, that he modified it and that it will definitely reappear.
I'm already on version 2 of the suit that he's designed me, so but he is very against the idea of me avenging in general. Even though, like, I'm stronger than you, man. Like, sit the fuck down. Like, sorry, I don't...
It's an ego thing.
He just doesn't like the idea of me doing that. Yeah, it's such an ego. Anyways, let's not talk about him at all, ever. What's going on in your life?
Ooh, is that a sensitive subject we've touched on, Mr. Tony Stark? Huh, interesting.
I just mentally rebooted. It's a long, complicated story. We could do an 8-part series on just Mr. Stark, but I don't want to do that. He's great. But he's such a nightmare and I can't stand him, but he's great and he's like my best friend. But I hate him so much.
I think I've seen this.
Okay, immediately no. Immediately no. Immediately no. Just immediately no. Just immediately immediately no.
Oh my god, I'm gonna make Christine leave.
I'm gonna leave.
She's gonna be like, actually, I revoke my consent to do this episode, so goodbye.
Actually, I don't want to do this anymore. No, it's like, I don't even know. I don't even have the words to explain anything about that man ever. Yeah, anyways. Okay, enough about me. Forever and indefinitely. What's going on in your lives?
In this one, work, and more work. I work all the time, but it's okay because money. So love that. Um, my sanity, non-existent, but at least I am not entirely living paycheck to paycheck, only partially. So that's nice. And then let's see what else. In my Hogwarts Uni DR, that is.
How's your gulag? Sorry.
Things are very dicey in my Hogwarts Uni DR, but I believe the last time that I spoke about that DR on this podcast, I was nowhere near the actual Battle of Hogwarts. That's past. It's been years now. I think I was in fifth or sixth year last time that I was talking about it on the podcast. It's been years. Like we're in the year 2000 now, and the Battle of Hogwarts was in 97. So we're coming up on 3 years already from the war, which is crazy. And then I got married in August of 98. So we're coming up on 2 years of marriage. That's crazy.
Congratulations. Sorry.
What else happened? I got married to George in Greece. It was beautiful. And then went honeymooning with George and Theo around, well, pretty much anywhere we wanted to go. But we've spent a lot of time in Asia, specifically. Spent a lot of time in Singapore for the honeymoon. It was just really nice and really cool. And maybe, I don't even know if this audience is aware of the whole me, George, and Theo thing. But yeah, we're polyamorous and together and have been for a number of years. So if you didn't know, now you know. And what else? I started teaching at Hogwarts University, but they made me teach first year defense.
First years, man.
18 and 19-year-olds, and there's this degree of separation where, you know, there's a degree of separation between them and the war, right? Like, sure, they read about it in the news and some of their families were involved, but for the large majority of them, they weren't. Not in the way that people at Hogwarts were. It happened right in front of us. It was things that they read about, and per usual with the younger generation that has a degree of separation, they make jokes about it all the time.
Yes. Oh my God. All the time. There's that degree of like almost glamorization. I don't want to say it like that because that sounds so twisted, but it literally is. And because I don't know what it's like for you, but like my name has been plastered everywhere for my involvement. Sorry, I heard your dog and my soul left my body. Fuck. So yeah, my name has been plastered everywhere. Not in the most flattering light. I'm really bad with keeping my mouth shut, as everybody knows, and that doesn't change across reality. So I have not had the most favorable press in the world. So most of my students have just been reading about me and reading about the war, and there's this level of like, wow, this person who we read about and is now our professor. And it's like not even fear and not even admiration, but like somewhere in the middle there. And it's like they just don't understand. And it's very difficult for me as someone who just can't hold their tongue to deal with that. These like stupid fucking punk ass kids who are like, were you really there? Oh my God. I'm like, you're so right. A little class of stupid 18-year-olds. Let me relive my trauma right now. I'd love to talk about it. Keep asking me questions. This is great. It's just, anyways.
No, I fully relate, and you are me, and it is the fact that I can't keep my mouth shut that has landed me in my current problems, which we will get to. But yeah, the thing about the kids is so dead on, and it's that thing you said about somewhere between, like, the admiration. It's just like, it doesn't, like, my name being plastered everywhere doesn't earn me any respect. Like, it's not like they respect me more for being in the papers or anything like that. It's just like, I don't know, it's like being in an exhibit at like a zoo or a circus. Like, it's just being watched and just like wondering what they're gonna do next, and not in a humanizing way. It's like very dehumanizing in the way that they look at me. Yeah, that led to Nate Childsburg asking me what it's like to kill somebody, meaning Voldemort, in the first week of class.
No.
Yes.
Oh my god, I would have lost it. I would have been.
I just sent him straight to McGonagall. I was not going to deal with that in any regard. Absolutely not.
That's the smart professional thing to do.
Go deal with her, because if I speak, I'm going to lose my job. Made it through that year by dissociating the whole time, and then went to McGonagall and said, yeah, I'm gonna take a indefinite sabbatical at this point in time because I have not healed, and I thought I could rush right into work after taking like no time off to deal with the after effects of the war, and I burned myself out. So Theo and I had been traveling for about like 8 months, and it's like April, May, or just became May of 2000, and now I am being charged with treason by the Makusa, and so is my dad, and they already got him, so they have my dad held and in prison, and now they're searching for me and have spies all over the world searching for me to try to extradite me back to the US and arrest me and make me stand trial for treasonous acts committed during the war. What these treasonous acts are is beyond me. They've yet to produce any evidence to the media, but now it's a whole big issue that involves the International Confederation of Wizards, and it's just me being used as a Trojan horse to knock down the Makusa, and now I gotta play into this media game just to try to get my dad back, when if I had it my way, I would just barge through the door and knock anybody else who got in my way. But that's not very diplomatic, and that's gonna make me look like a villain, so I have to be smart, I guess.
I support just overthrowing the government. Just as a blanket statement, I just support that, and I think you should do it.
I wish I could.
But also, don't take my advice. Don't take my advice at all.
I wish I could, because now it's a thing of getting people around the world and also getting people in the US to agree with me, and I'm pretty sure that these treasonous acts are just the fact that I have been speaking highly critically of the Makusa anytime I get asked about them. Or why I refuse to return to the US and why I'm choosing to move my residency permanently to the UK outside of my marriage and other things. So I get asked to comment on them a lot, and I'm pretty sure they're just mad that somebody's talking shit, but I'm not going to stop because they deserve to be talked shit on.
I agree. I love your political era. I support.
Okay, so we're gonna do something a little funny since we've been absent for so long. I went and dug around and found some of the funniest comments about the podcast posted about us on Reddit or TikTok or YouTube or Spotify. Both funny, good comments and funny hate comments, or things that are funny to me at least. So we're gonna react to those because we thought it would just give us a nice laugh.
I'm so excited. I have no idea what's coming. C planned this entire thing. All I did was show up. So I'm so ready for this.
I wanted to catch her completely off guard just to see the genuine reaction.
Good. I'm ready for this. Here we go.
All right, we got to start off with Reddit, which most things about us on Reddit are hate posts because a lot of perma-shifters on Reddit just absolutely hate us. I don't personally agree with promoting perma-shifting. Again, I won't ever budge on that opinion. So don't ask me to. It's not a matter of belief in perma-shifting. I just won't be promoting it because I'm aware that there are a lot of young people following me, and I don't believe it is necessarily a very healthy thing to push on some young people who don't know proper coping mechanisms and ways to deal with their emotions yet. So just to retouch on that topic, since I get asked about it all the time.
I agree with everything they said. I was going to be meaner, but you said it nicely.
This makes me laugh so hard. You're going to love this, Christine. Be warned that most people will disagree with their opinions, which they state as facts. I don't care about opinions I don't agree with, but don't state them as facts. The good part about that is you might get motivation to shift purely to prove them wrong.
So, I do state my opinions as facts, because that's just how I speak. I mean, the unfollow button is free, and the block button is even more free. So, I mean, you don't have to watch us.
For me, it just is funny to me because no matter how many times I say, this is just my opinion, you don't have to agree with my opinion, and then I state reasons why I believe in my opinion, that it always gets called as me being arrogant and stating it as fact. Just because I'm confident in my opinion about things and I have the, experience and confidence behind my experience or scientific and psychological reasons for believing that, and I'm confident enough to state it that way, if you get offended by that, that's a you problem. Like, I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's a you problem, because I personally don't like people who are wishy-washy on their opinions. Like, I'm ever growing and changing in my opinions. I'm constantly taking in new sources on opinions. So when I change my opinions, I very loudly proclaim, hey, I used to believe this, now I believe this, here's why, and I'll be very loud and proud about that change in my opinion, but I will never wish-wash on my statement when I'm stepping up to the plate to state my opinion on something, because if you don't have the confidence to state that opinion, why are you talking?
Exactly. And see, I fully agree with you, but the way I see it, the people who think I'm arrogant, the people who think I'm a dick, they will always think that. There is nothing I can say, even if I were to give a groveling apology and all of a sudden agree with you on everything that you want me to agree with you on, it wouldn't make you like me. So why try? Why would I change the way I speak and the things I think just to try and get people who will never like me to like me, you know? And yeah, I come off as aggressive. I know that. It's the first test. If you see how I am and you like me anyway, then we're cool. We can be friends. And my friends know that I'm not like this, like, day to day. I'm even nice sometimes. I am. I know. It's horrifying to think about, but I am. I like to put my worst foot forward because then it weeds out the people who can't deal with me, which is most people, thankfully.
Like I said, most of the hate we get are from perma-shifters who are upset when we say, hey, we don't agree with promoting this to young audiences, and personally, there are things we disagree with about the way perma-shifting's talked about publicly and the way it's promoted and stuff like that. So 99.99999% of the hate comments are from perma-shifters, and 99.99999% of my hate comments on Shift Talk have usually been from perma-shifters too. I'm sensing a pattern here, and this isn't to be rude, this is just stating facts. If you are constantly canceling people for saying their own opinion about it and then calling it misinfo, that's just because you don't like your own beliefs being questioned. When you are brought into question on it, you're like, this is demotivating. If you are demotivated by someone else's opinion, you should probably get off of communities, because the whole point of communities online is to talk about these things and have discourse and discuss different opinions. And if you can't handle that and you think that your opinion is right and always has to be right, and you're going to go cancel anyone who has a different opinion from you, then you should not be part of these communities. You obviously are not in the right mental state to handle it if it's like deeply affecting you in the way that I've seen some people be affected in my comments and our podcast comments.
Absolutely. Because as you said, it just comes from a place of insecurity. And I think a lot of people who have these kind of wishy-washy beliefs don't know what to do when they see someone who has really strongly held beliefs because they can't conceptualize a life in which they have that. So I think anything that is portrayed loudly and confidently is going to come off as aggressive because they are just so not used to that way of thinking.
And often people surround themselves in echo chambers of a lot of people believing the same thing, so their belief doesn't get challenged very often. And at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do for yourself when you're getting into a topic like shifting or most topics is to ask questions, question everything, look to a lot of different opinions. Gather your opinions from a lot of different opinions, a lot of different sources, because that's the only way you're going to be able to find what you believe. But don't just regurgitate what creators tell you, because I've said this before and I'll say this again, all of us are just taking shots in the dark based on our own experiences, because we don't have definitive science to back us up on this. So you should question everything. Don't take what we say as fact. We're always only stating our opinions, and we've been very clear on that. Form your own. And if you don't agree with us, great. Tell me why. I love to have discussions about this as long as people can be respectful.
I fully agree.
That podcast is full of misinformation anyways. I've made many comments about it on this subreddit. And so then a different Redditor commented back, I'm curious, what misinformation do they spread? And their comment back was, in their controversial shifting opinions, they basically said that they think shifting is lucid dreaming.
I think what I'm understanding from that is that they're misconstruing the consciousness theory as us saying it's lucid dreaming, when I think those words have never come out of either of our mouths. We have both said that we don't know what shifting is. It's probably somewhere in between consciousness and multiverse, probably, but who knows? And every reality, everything that we perceive in this reality is technically just made up in our heads anyway, but that doesn't mean it's not real. So if shifting happens to just be another layer of consciousness that we don't yet have scientific explanation for, that doesn't make it not real. It just makes it as real as this reality that we are also all experiencing in vastly different ways.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I just want to laugh because the original poster on this actually commented back to this person, because I think the original poster had actually like posted something of like, hey, I found this like XYZ was really motivating on Get Shifty. So like I think the original poster was like a good comment about it. And so the original poster commented back and said, just to clarify, they never stated in any of their videos that shifting is lucid dreaming. And so then this Redditor who claims that they are a shifting scholar.
Sorry. Shifting scholar.
It was their podcast and it basically stated that that's what they believe. Listen, again, if you struggle to believe anything other than multiverse theory, just say that, because putting down the consciousness theory is not a flex, is not a cool thing. And I see it very often in a lot of other communities. I've seen it still on Twitter, on the shifting sub Twitter. I see it still there, people being like, wow, people who believe in the consciousness theory basically think that shifting is lucid dreaming. First of all, why do you care? Like, if someone, there are people who believe in shifting but like to believe it as advanced lucid dreaming rather than going to a physical other reality, just that it's like a lucid dream that's like out of their control and as real as life here, and it's some like more advanced form of it. Let them, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, at the end of the day, if we are having this real experience, I don't care what it is, whether I'm in another reality, whether I created it in my own head, whether it's just an advanced form of lucid dreaming. I don't give a fuck, because it is real. It feels just as real as you are perceiving this video right now, just as real as we are having this conversation right now. So who gives a fuck what it is? And why are you judging other people for what they believe on it?
I think that oftentimes the people who have these sort of criticisms are people who have not shifted yet. And I think it's so easy, if you haven't shifted yet and if you've been trying for so long, to get into this loop of having to rationalize it, having to understand it, to prove to yourself that it's real. Whereas when you have shifted and you've experienced it, I feel like when you know it's real, it just lightens the mental load of having to explain it. Because I'm like you said, why would I care what it is? I'm there, I'm experiencing it. Every day that I'm there is just a normal day in my life to me. I'm not coming back here and trying to write dissertations on what it could be, in the same way that I don't try and explain what exactly this life is. Because once you've shifted and you're there, you're just living, you know? And I mean, I was gonna say I kind of understand, but I don't. I just think people need to relax.
Now that we're moving off hate comments, let's get into some comments that I really enjoyed and just wanted to take a moment to read. So on our controversial shifting opinions video, someone said, controversial indeed. Don't agree 100% with everything brought up here, but hey, still love the energy, still gonna stick around and watch. And that is the energy I love. That is exactly what I'm talking about with form your own opinions, question everything, find multiple sources, and pull your opinions from there. You don't have to agree with us on everything, nor do I want you to, because if you follow someone blindly, you are leading yourself down into a hole.
I fully agree. And I mean, I joke a lot about always being right because that's just like a bit at this point. But I do genuinely agree. Do not take anything anyone says at face value, even someone like me who's always right. You have to always fact check. You have to always cross-source these things, listen to tons of people, especially on something like shifting, where there are no papers you can read, there is no study that you can do. You have to just listen to everybody and listen to people with wildly different opinions. And more often than not, you'll find that what you believe is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people in these communities, on all the platforms that we have shifting communities, that because they are so unwilling to listen to anyone else's opinions on anything, they make these spaces quite toxic. Because like, I've been attacked just for posting about the consciousness theory, and as you've seen here, and I've gotten it on my TikTok all the time, just for posting about the consciousness theory, I'm accused of not being a real shifter, and being said that I just think it's lucid dreaming because I dare to think of it a different way outside of what the mainstream idea of shifting is. You should be gathering multiple sources, and especially in something like shifting, which in my conversations with many people who have shifted, all of us have different personal experiences. I've talked to people who've had clone experiences. I've talked to people who haven't. I've talked to people with crazy time ratios. I've talked to people with short ones. I've talked to people who can shift completely awake and not really doing a method. I've talked to people who need really, really long methods. There's so many different modalities for shifting that as of right now, it doesn't seem like any of us are like specifically right on anything, because so many different things are working. And with so many different things working, that means that is a personal self growth, introspective journey that you have to take if this is what you want to achieve.
Definitely. And I think if people spent less time worrying about what others were saying and more time focusing that energy inwards and figuring out what you actually think and what you believe and what you can do to try your very hardest to achieve this goal of shifting, then I think all of us would be a lot better off.
I fully agree on that. So moving into some funny ones now, we have, I don't remember which episode this is from, but someone said, shift for the bagels is honestly my new go-to motivation phrase.
Yes, shift for the bagels. If there is one thing that you can hope to get in your Hogwarts DR, two things that you can hope to get in your Hogwarts DR, it's bagels and pushing Draco down a flight of stairs. Those are the two things you can strive towards, I think.
So the main thing is food and violence against Draco. This just made me laugh. I can't tell. To me, it reads as a troll comment, but I'm not going to say for sure that this is a troll comment. But to me, it does read that way, but it made me laugh. This person said, in my personal experience, do not shift to Kung Fu Panda because...
Kung
because the turtle, Uguay, knew I shifted there when I was in that reality trying to find and meet Poe.
What the fuck?
Is this Psyche K? Like,
This is like one of those. I'm imagining a YouTube video with the title like, "The turtle from Kung Fu Panda knew I shifted, not clickbait." Sorry, I'm just imagining this poor person running around Kung Fu Panda. I'll be like, Poe, Poe, where are you? And the turtle's like, no, go home.
someone left a comment that said, I'll give you 5 seconds to say your safe word, traveler.
This is giving back in the day. We had those people who were like, Dumbledore kicked me out of my DR or something. People who would say shit like that. Like, I taught Tom Riddle to shift. Voldemort is shifting to our reality, everyone. Watch out.
It gave me Psyche K when people were like, Psyche K knew I shifted and it kicked me out. I just wanted to throw it back to this quote from one of our episodes. Because a commenter reminded me, and it was when Christine said, every time I hear monster fucker, I think of Remus. And the commenter said, Christine, no!
Well, he's a family man now. I don't want to be disrespectful. He's a husband. He's thinking of starting a family. But sometimes I think back to the good old days. Sorry. You know, it was a simpler time back then.
This is short and sweet. The Raven method sucks ass.
I think the starfish position is like okay though. Can I say that? I kind of like the starfish position. But I do the starfish position. But I have the starfish position, but like my legs are like curled up like little like flamingo legs. So I'm like in bed like Does that make sense? Like little flamingo legs and starfish arms?
It's giving, I don't know why, but it's giving the fairy godmother, like, late at night and I toss and I turn and I...
Yes, that's me. That's me trying to shift.
On a more serious note, we just wanted to take a second and thank all of you, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, wherever you are watching this right now. We just want to thank all of you for being here and being so supportive of us while we were doing the podcast, and even more so in our absence. I got so many messages asking if we were okay, and just so many comments still, even when it's been over a year from us posting. So I'm really eternally grateful for all of you, and I can't thank you enough for being with us and watching this channel. It's just, it leaves me in awe.
I talk a lot of shit, but this has been amazing. I love this podcast, and I do enjoy seeing the comments asking us when we're coming back, wanting us to come back, even though I ignore them out of guilt. But I see them and I appreciate them. Thank you for listening to me. I know it's not an easy task, but thank you for doing it. That I can't be nice anymore. That's enough.
So let's chat for a second about the future of the podcast, because I know a lot of you are wondering whether this means, are we back? Is this the end? What's going on? So Christine, why don't you tell us what's going on with you?
So I am not going to be doing this anymore because we've had a massive falling out. We're not friends anymore. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to be doing this anymore because while we're doing it, it's fun. I was just saying, while we're doing it, while we're talking, it's great. Actually finding the energy, finding the time. We live on opposite sides of the world. It's just mentally too much for me. I love this podcast. I have loved being involved. See, we'll be humble about this. They have masterminded this entire thing. We are genuinely best friends. Working with them in this capacity as well has been amazing, and I've enjoyed it so much. But I cannot continue doing this anymore with any consistent schedule. Anybody who's ever started a project with me knows this is how it ends, with me dropping it. So this is gonna be my last time on this podcast forever. Well, not forever. Maybe I'll be like back sometimes because it is fun. Once we're doing it, it's fun. But just what gets me is the commitment of having to do it. I've got that pathological demand avoidance brand of autism. So when I have to do things, there's already so many things in my life I have to do. I can't be having to do this as well. And it just stopped. It didn't stop being fun, but having to do it made it not fun because pathological demand avoidance gets me every time.
And that's totally fair. And I am so proud of Christine for putting herself first and, doing what's best for her mental health and just in general. But I am quite sad to see the end of our era on this podcast because, it was because of our long conversations about shifting and just how much we related on so many things and our differing views and our similar views that led to the creation of this podcast. So I'm definitely in my feels about the end of this chapter. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the podcast. So, personally, I enjoy the long-form shifting content, and this project brings me a lot of joy doing it. I would love to continue it. However, I can't continue it by myself because the fun of this is being able to banter back and forth with someone. So I don't want to chat by myself. So we're in a little bit of a predicament here, but I think we have a solution. What do you think, Christine?
My clone is gonna be joining we have... I will be perma-shifting and my clone will be back next episode. Sorry. In all seriousness, there is definitely a way forward with this, and I think C has found a perfect person to move this project forward with, and it's someone we both love and we both trust a lot. And my vote of confidence is that I trust this person with Regulus, and anyone who knows me knows that that says a lot about me. And I'm really, really excited for the future of this podcast.
Hey, bitches.
Everybody, please welcome to the podcast our new host, Tori.
Yay!
Hello, I'm Tori. I am 23 years old. My pronouns are she, her, and I've been shifting for almost 3 years, which is absolutely insane how the time has flown past.
Fun fact about you, Tori.
Ooh. I am Canadian, and...
That's so fun.
Right? I live in a weird part of Canada that no one really knows. And I'm a Regulus shifter. Sort of, kind of, at this point.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah, we're in a messy situation. So, we have jump shipped from my one Regulus DR, but I'm hoping to do another one.
Tori, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you found shifting, how you came across shifting, and when, and what started your journey?
Oh, God. Well, so I had found shifting from the famous Draco pushing people down the stairs video.
It always starts with him.
I know, right?
It really does start with Draco. Like, it really goes back to Draco talk for so many people.
And, like, man, that video, like, was in my head, and I was like, what the heck? Why? Why is Draco pushing people down the stairs? And what got me here? And then I saw someone just had woken up from 8 months at Hogwarts. I don't know if you guys had seen that video.
I saw that one.
I saw it too.
The tears, and I was like, people are spending time at Hogwarts, like, how the heck do I get here? And then I saw the hashtag shift talk, and then I had, started my journey there in August. And luckily for me, like, it didn't take me too long to shift, as I had, like, previous, experience with stuff with lucid dreaming and so on and so forth. So I was really lucky that it didn't take me very long. I don't know about you guys, but how did you guys get onto Draco Talk? Was it like alt TikTok? Were you guys there with like the frog videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, for me, I was definitely on alt TikTok first, and then it went into Harry Potter TikTok, and then Harry Potter TikTok turned to Draco Talk more, and it was then that I started seeing the word like desired reality and things like how Draco acts in my desired reality. And I was like, what? I thought it was just fan fiction. I thought it was just fan fiction being posted on TikTok. That's genuinely what I thought.
Yeah, no, I was the same way.
I didn't even discover shifting on TikTok. I said this in another episode. I just stumbled upon a YouTube video that was like Draco's heartbeat and humming, and I posted it on my private Instagram story making fun of it. I was like, why is this recommended to me? Do people think I'm this fucking insane? And then I read the comments of it, and all the comments were like, this helped me shift. And I was like, what is shifting? And then I watched some more YouTube videos, and then I downloaded TikTok, and then the rest is history.
I just love how in the shifting community, I feel there is such a large percentage of people that can trace back one of their first memories of like shifting coming across their For You page as Draco pushes people down the stairs.
I saw people pushing Draco down the stairs, and I thought, how can I get in on that? And that was just my dream. Then I got in on it.
That was it. That was it. And also too, that Draco humming and heartbeat video lives rent free in my brain because I was like, you know, it's one of those Pavlov conditioned me to sleep now. Like when I hear it, I'm like,
So, Tori, you were one of the OG 2020 Shift Talk creators. Why don't you tell us a little bit about being on Shift Talk at that infamous time?
I try my hardest to block it out just because it was so it was so insane. You know, we had a lot of misinformation. The biggest thing being that you had to be the healthiest person in the world. Like they wanted us to be eating as if we were like trained athletes, you know? And, you know, the water thing, like you have to drink water to be able to shift.
And you have to talk to your water. You have to tell your water that she's very beautiful and sexy and you love her very much if you want to shift.
Oh my gosh. And the Raven method, like I remember how bad that ruled Shift Talk. The Raven method was like the one and only. If you were doing something else, you were a fake shifter.
Wait, can I say something about the Raven method?
Yep.
Yeah, so when I first came across shifting and I was first doing my deep dive down the hashtag reality shifting rabbit hole, I saw like it was like how to shift, right? And of course it was the Raven method. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, so it's just lucid dreaming because the Raven method is used for lucid dreaming as well, or at least it was way back in the day. So for the longest time, I was like, oh, it's just lucid dreaming until I started actually getting on Shift Talk and seeing the whole multiverse theory and all of that stuff with it. I was like, oh, wait, no, it's more than that. Maybe just the Raven method is how you access that or it, whatever. But that was my first impression with the Raven method. The funny thing about the Raven method is when I read about it way back in the day, like, over 10 years ago on the, you know, forums about lucid dreaming, the idea was that you were supposed to go into sleep paralysis, that the Raven method was supposed to induce sleep paralysis, and the idea was that if you made it through that sleep paralysis, if you could continue, being still and make it through that's when you would gain the lucidity, and that is how it was said back then. And so like I've had plenty of sleep paralysis experiences, mostly because of the Raven method. And there's a lot of people who say they've had sleep paralysis because of the Raven method, and it makes them uncomfortable. So I'm definitely not surprised to hear about your sleep paralysis experience.
Insane that we were like, you know, pushing that method out towards kids
as like the only option as well. Like, you have to do this or you can't shift. Like, what was that attitude? Like, that was kind of a lot.
We weren't really thinking about the fact that we were pushing these like crazy thoughts onto our audience, and like not fully grasping like who our audience was at that time. And man, we were just so blinded by the wanting to shift that it didn't really matter, right? If we all consumed ourselves with shifting, eventually we'd all get there, right? Like, you know? And it's just, oh.
Well, that was the thought, right? But letting shifting consume yourself has led to the downfall of a lot of people.
Exactly. And I think that's why a lot of people are where they are now, is the fact of they still have a lot of these 2020 shifting rules in their head and just haven't been able to like let it go yet.
So, Tori, shall we talk? Shall we talk about the man, the myth, the legend?
Mr. Regulus Black.
So we both have Marauder's DRs. Obviously not going into all the really personal details and trauma if you don't want to, but do you want to give like a basic background of your current Marauder's DR?
I am an abbot. I don't really know too much about my parents. I've never had the ability to like look into them, but they had died when I was really young. Regulus Black had found me, and Walburga had really wanted a girl, and she found me. Walburga took me in to actually first eventually be engaged to Sirius, but as we all know, Sirius is serious. Not a fan of dating women or being told what to do. No. So, you know, we had built more of a like brother-sister bond rather than Regulus and I, who had built that like foundation of like an eventual like engagement. And when Sirius left, like that really took over, that like Regulus was the next heir to the house. And then I take place in university, where that foundation has already been cemented. You know, we've been together. We got engaged like my second year at Hogwarts, second or third.
That's insane.
Yeah, and so it was like pretty fast for us, but that's just the way that my brain in that DR was conditioned.
And also that's just the way that purebloods work. If it was going to be an arranged marriage, they weren't going to wait around, were they? Like if you were deep in those pureblood circles, like that, they weren't going to wait around till after you graduate.
And like we took some time, so we got married in between our second last and last year. And so, you know, we took some time and like we had some like, we're not getting engaged, like, or we're not getting married, like we're calling it off over like silly things. And then, you know, the next day Walburga would send a howler and we'd all be okay. And but yeah, that's pretty much like the basis and cement to my DR was the fact that I was just brought into the family to eventually become the wife of Regulus Black. And I did not script that. That just happened.
I was just about to say, wasn't all of that unscripted?
Yeah, that just happened. I went into my Regulus DR just being like, he doesn't die. And that was it. Like, that's the only thing that I had quote unquote scripted, was that I didn't die and that he didn't die. And look at where we are now. It's a big mess.
That's a lot as well. What was that like growing up? I mean, you obviously don't have to get too much into it, but what must that have been like growing up in that environment in a DR where you didn't script it, you didn't expect it, you just get there, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into this like pureblood culture is insane. That society is insane. The whole culture of it is just wild. And being unprepared and just being thrust into it, that must have been like the culture shock of all culture shocks.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, you know, it's one of those things where, like, at first it took a lot to get used to. I was really lucky that I was, you know, the favored child in the house. So I didn't...
The favorite child, as you should be.
Yeah, so I was the girl that Wahlberga always wanted. So I didn't, like, endure anything, you know, that the boys had endured. I had seen it, but lucky for me, I kind of got out scot-free of it. It's crazy to, and I don't know if you guys would know that, like, have felt this, but when you walk around the hallways and people just, like, look at you because they know your status and they know, like, the way that it's run, and or people would automatically assume I'm a bitch or stuff like that just because I'm a pureblood, was kind of like culture shocking, and like being forced to talk and know the society, attend parties that I didn't really want to attend, but had to because it was, you had to show up, like you had to make your statement. Oh, it's just a mess. It's just a mess.
I mean, I just remember as an outsider seeing, at the beginning of knowing Regulus, seeing him go through that. It's horrifying. And because I don't know what it was like for you, because you were kind of in there with him, so I guess he had maybe more of a support network having you in there, but he felt so just powerless to it all, and seeing him go through that, not to get too much into it, but it's really hard. So I guess in one way it must have been, I mean, I don't want to say good because nothing about what you've described is good, but just the fact that you had each other to lean on must have lessened the horrifyingness of it a little bit. Because whenever I physically couldn't I couldn't help a lot of the time at the beginning because he was so in it and I was so not, so I couldn't just like knock on the door and be like, hey, Wahlberga, fuck you. Like I could never have just done that. So I guess it is nice that you kind of had each other in that horrifying environment.
Yeah, and like,
thank God that bitch is dead.
No,
yeah,
literally.
honestly,
still haunting me though, but I found he had a lot of pressure. You know, especially after Sirius had left, he really envied him. And, you know, he got to see him kind of run around free, and Regulus had to pretty much, like, when he exited through, you know, our little safe place, which was our room, he had to walk around as if he, like, was $1 million all the time. He didn't really get to process any sort of happiness or anything like that. He was stone cold all the time, and it's because he did it to build this wall, right? And just to see, like, you know, people just not really want to get to know him as a person. I know that kind of like ate him away a little bit. Like, people just automatically assumed he got to where he was because of money and his name, where, you know, a lot of his intelligence was like taken for granted because, you know, he had the name, right?
Definitely. And I think, I mean, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier with C, is that people view you a certain way so many times that eventually you're like, well, just fuck it, I'll just be that thing then. And I think with Regulus, especially in the beginning, that really was his attitude, where he was like, well, people think I'm this stone cold, awful, pure blood, you know, whatever the fuck. So he was like, fine, if you want me to be that, then that's what I'll be. And it took a long time, and it's still an ongoing struggle for him to feel safe, I guess. Emotions and feelings.
And it's good to have, you know, you as a Regulus support system, like here in my CR, because if something happens, and like I know vice versa, like you and I were
know,
like,
I can text you, I'm like, help, what do I do? Well, because you've also known him a lot longer than I have. I'm just very loud about him a lot of the time, but a lot of people might not know that you have known him for longer than I have. You've lived such a life with this man. So actually having you here to be able to talk to about it has been honestly such a lifesaver a lot of the time, because what I found is he was so hard to read so much of the time. I just don't know. I mean, it's a lot better now, but back in the dark times, it was just very, very hard to read him, very hard to know what he actually wanted, very hard for me to be able to gauge what kind of person he actually is, when he just never wanted to show any of that, because showing any sort of positive emotion is just not done, and it's seen as a sense of weakness. And coping with that was very, very difficult. It felt like hot and cold and just, yeah. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yes, and I remember one piece of advice I gave you was the like 1 step forward, 3 steps back with him, like during the dark times of him.
And honestly, when you said that like changed my life. I'm not gonna lie. When you said that, I was like, well, because it is. It's 1 step forward, 3 steps back. It really is, because the kind of horrors that he's faced, like, you can't even begin to imagine what that man has been through, and to come out of it on the other side being even almost okay is amazing. And to think the man he is now, it's just,
I'm so happy for you guys. Like, I remember just like sitting there and just like keeping up on it, being like, oh my god, like I hope Christine's okay, like, you know, because Regulus can be absolutely difficult. That's why I'm like, if you are like a baby shifter, Regulus Black. If you're going for like not very much scripting of Regulus, or like especially if you're going for any sort of canon Regulus, just wait.
Because people don't understand him. This is what I see a lot online. And even really, really well-meaning people who just want to shift and want to get to know him, there's just always an element of depth that's missing. And I think there's never going to be a scenario where most people meet him and are just going to be fine and be in a happy, healthy relationship straight away. Like, it's just never going to turn out like that. And seeing people constantly misunderstanding him, it's frustrating, but it also makes me sad and afraid for I mean, I don't want to, he's great and I love him so much. I hate talking about my feelings, but it's hard. It's really hard. I've had to work for our relationship. Nothing has come easy. I've had to work at it and stand by him through some of the worst times, and he has not treated me well. Back then, I would have never been able to say it, but now I can say he treated me really badly for a really long time, and I would have been well within my right to leave him and never look back. But I'm glad I did look back, and I'm so proud of him. And now we're all only looking forward together. Oh, that was disgusting! Oh my god, okay.
Okay, it is that time again on the episode where we get to our follower question of the week, which is a question that was asked by one of you on a episode of our video. I don't remember which one this came from, but I like this question. So, have you guys ever thought about group shifting, and what are your thoughts on it? We haven't really talked about group shifting on here, so I think it's a good time.
That is a good question. So I'm just going to start and say I've thought about it, and part of me is like, that would be really cool. I have no idea if it's possible or not. Obviously, I'm open to anything being possible because fucking I shift realities, whatever. But my level of control issues, I feel, would prevent me from ever successfully doing that, even with someone who I really, really trust. I feel like I would just psych myself out about it. So I don't know if it would be possible for me personally, because something about that just feels like such a loss of control over my environment. But theoretically, I mean, maybe, not fully ruling it out, could happen, I guess.
I'm in a similar boat where, you know, I don't want to say that it's not possible. I just don't know if I'd ever be able to do it. Like, I've thought about it and been like, oh, it's a cool concept, and like it'd be really cool to do one day, but I feel like, once again, like I'd psych myself out over it.
It feels like a lot of pressure. I would feel like the other person or people who I'm trying to do it with are just relying on me to not fuck up. So I know I'd just be lying in bed stressing myself out the whole time I'd be trying.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Now, in regards to actually believing in it, I definitely believe it's possible, no matter which theory you believe in, multiverse or consciousness, because in my personal view of consciousness, I like to believe in a shared collective consciousness of connecting all people on this earth and through multiple realities and such. So, under that belief with the consciousness theory, you can obviously have a shared consciousness experience in which you would be shifting to a desired reality together. So I definitely believe in the possibility of it. I also am unsure as to whether or not I could handle doing it because, again, the loss of control. I mean, the loss of control is less of the issue for me and more of the pressure that you mentioned on someone expecting me to be able to shift, because like I don't shift every time I try, and sometimes I go through shifting slumps, and it's like, what if the night that I shift, the other person doesn't, and we just keep like, playing tag, going back and forth on one of us is able to get there but never at the same time. Like, I would just get very frustrated, and also I just feel like I would potentially grow to resent that person that I'm shifting or
Yes.
attempting to group shift with, because it's like either we're just not successful or they do something in that desired reality that just kind of like messes with my own plans. So that goes to the loss of control aspect. Thank you so much for your question. We really appreciate that. And I'm glad we got a chance to talk about group shifting because we haven't had a chance to chat about that on here. So awesome. Now it is time for our question of the week to you all. So please leave your answers to this in the comments or reply on the Spotify question. And our question this week is, what's something from the beginning of your shifting journey that lives in your mind rent free? Whether you still do it or not, just something that you came across in the beginning of your shifting journey that you cannot shake.
And it is unfortunately that time where we have to start to wrap up the podcast. So
Womp womp.
This has been a lot of fun. I really, really hope that you guys have enjoyed getting to know Tori, and you'll get to know her a lot more in the next season. Do you guys want to talk about what is going to be happening in the next season, moving forward now?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Just tell you guys what to be expecting. So, obviously, we're going to wrap this episode and get it put out for you as soon as we can. From there, Tori and I are going to take a little bit of a break to get organized and figure out our first few episodes. Then we will get those filmed and have them ready to go and launch them week to week for you guys, and then move to a week to week basis. We are aiming to do 8 to 10 episodes next season, not to stretch ourselves out too much. And we are hoping as well to feature guests. So if you have any guests you would like to see, please let us know. We are looking for episode ideas as well. So if there are any things you would like for us to talk about in season 2, please let us know that as well.
yeah, and we have some ideas in the works. We've been talking about this for a little bit, and we have some ideas that I'm really excited for you guys to hear and, join in the conversation with us. I'm so excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And man, Christine, we are so going to miss you. I wish you were going to be doing it with us.
I know, maybe I'll come back every now and then. I was saying before, it's just the obligation that gets me. Now that the obligation is gone, I will definitely be keen to join in every now and then. This has been amazing. I'm excited for the future of the podcast. I'm going to be listening every week. Absolutely. I can't wait.
Oh, God. I'm so sentimental about this. It's the end of an era. It makes me kind of emotional. Not that I'm going to get emotional on camera, but I will definitely get emotional while editing this. Just none of y'all will be able to see it.
Have a cut scene of C just sobbing.
Just
sobbing while editing.
It's just the last thing you see on the podcast before we end. It's just a clip of me sobbing like I just finished editing.
I know that it's pretty hard shoes to fill, but I really hope that
Stop!
I do Christine some justice,
You definitely will. You'll be a much more reliable co-host than I ever was.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
And hopefully, you'll still join in on some episodes. We can have like a little Christine segment or whatever once in a while.
I would love that.
So that is going to be the end of season 1, my friends. Thank you so much for your patience and just your time spent hanging out with us and talking about shifting with us. We've had so much fun, and from the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you all enough for being here.
Sentimental things, anyways.
Where can the people find you? They've been asking us nonstop. Where can they find you?
In your nightmares. No, I've deleted TikTok. I do not plan on coming back anytime soon. That app is a hellscape. It is filled with morons and just awful things that I never want to invade my brain space with ever again. I'm on Twitter. It's Sectum Sempris 1. And I maybe at some stage will be coming back to Snapchat, but no promises, which is home to Hogwarts, but just a 2 instead of the word 2. But you can catch me on Twitter sharing my unpopular opinions and getting yelled at by 16-year-olds, if that's what you like to see. I know it's what I like to see.
The unhinged thoughts of Christine.
Tori, why don't you let the people know where they can find you in the meantime while we get season 2 together?
So you can find me on Twitter at TimbitsPossum. And you can also find me on TikTok, fandomsxx Regulus.
And as you guys know, I am also on TikTok, which is just shitpost now. It's just one account. And yeah, I'm also on Twitter, but I don't post there as much. But that is shitpost too. So, thank you guys so much for watching. And that's the end of season 1.
This has been great. I talk a lot of shit, but it has been amazing. Thank you for listening to me for all this time. And I'm gonna miss you guys. Why am I acting like you're dying? Like I can just text you at any point. This doesn't need to be dramatic.
That's it from us.
Signing off.
For the last time.
Peace out, bitches. It's been real. I'm finally free. I'm kidding.
Well, we will see you guys in season 2.
We'll see you in season 2.
Go shift.
Happy shifting.